Okay, today I want to explore a thought and a question regarding judgment on nations. Now, sometimes we hear people say, well, America is under judgment because of the abortion issue, or this, that, or the other. And there's some logical reasons why people would say that. Now, Apostle Paul, several times in the New Testament, he made a list of things that were in the Old Testament that we might learn from. Okay, so what I'm going to point to today is out of Deuteronomy chapter 28. Now, the first part of the chapter has to do with blessings that God says will overtake the nation of Israel if they follow him and are obedient. The second 2/3 of that chapter have to do with the curse that would follow them. Now, I know this has to do with the nation of Israel. However, if God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, then the principle applies to us as a nation as well. Okay, now, historically, we know that our nation was founded on Judeo-Christian principles, and our law is basically founded on that type of principle. Even our judicial laws, our judge and jury, are founded on the same principles that the Bible is based on, that everything must be confirmed out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. We see that Old Testament and New Testament. That has to do, of course, with the jury. If somebody's bringing accusations against you, it has to be corroborated by other witnesses, right? So in Deuteronomy 28, there's a number of things that we could look at here, and we might ask ourselves, how does this apply to us? Now, there's a lot in this chapter, and I'm not going to go through every one of these, but I'm just going to cherry pick a few ones that might be more pertinent to what we're dealing with. We obviously have issues with an open border in our southern border in the United States. Well, in verse 43, it says, "The alien who is among you shall rise above you higher and higher, but you shall go down lower and lower." That seems to apply to some degree. "And he shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail." It's interesting because where I live is farmland in eastern Washington State, and most of the farms here were established by Anglo-Americans, Germans, and basically Europeans. And so even a lot of the street names and stuff are, you know, Albertsons and Johnson and all these European names and a few German names. However, most of the newer business that you see in our valley are written in Spanish. Okay, and a lot of the farm laborers that historically have migrated to this area for summer work, they're no longer coming here simply for summer work because they've been here for several generations. Some of them are now owners of the farms because either the farmers' kids didn't want to farm, or they went to the city, got different kinds of jobs, and so the farms have been overtaken by the immigrants. And oftentimes we need cheap labor, so it's not just immigrants, it's illegal aliens. Okay? So this verse here, "The alien who is among you shall rise above you higher and higher, but you shall go down lower and lower." That's a curse on Israel at the time when this was written. Okay? Well, let's take a look at a couple others here. How about verse 27? "The Lord will smite you with the boils of Egypt, with tumors, with the scabs, and with itch, from which you cannot be healed. And the Lord will smite you with madness, and with blindness, and with bewilderment of heart," or nervous breakdown. I mean, what do we see in our society today? People have all kinds of issues they're having to take psycho drugs for, everything under the sun. Our kids can't be managed at school because they're out of control. So how about verse 58? If you're not careful to observe all the words of this law which are written in this book, to fear this honored and awesome name, the Lord your God, then the Lord will bring extraordinary plagues on you and your descendants, even severe and lasting plagues, miserable and chronic sicknesses. He will bring back on you all the diseases of Egypt of which you were afraid, and they shall cling to you. Also every sickness and every plague which are not written in this book, or the book of this law, the Lord will bring on you until you are destroyed. Could that be something like COVID? I mean, where'd that come from? Backing up to verse 49, it says, the Lord will bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as the eagle swoops down, a nation whose language you shall not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, who shall have no respect for the old, nor show favor to the young. Now, we can look around the planet right now and see a number of nations that are being invaded by other nations, oftentimes with a language they don't understand. We got China is taking advantage of a lot of weak nations, buying them up, and so they're ruling from an upper crust of society with a language that these other people, the commoners, don't even understand. Or how about this? We used to be pretty proud of our nation because God had blessed us, and people were just dying to come to this place. In fact, strangely enough, they're still coming to this place thinking that they're going to get freebies or have some kind of blessing bestowed upon them, because this is, of course, the land of promise, right? However, in verse 37 it says, you shall become a horror, a proverb, and a taunt among all the peoples where the Lord will drive you. Wow. Of course, that's speaking of Israel, because God told the Israelites that if they disobeyed him, that he would scatter them all over the planet, and they would serve other gods and serve other kings. But the same thing could happen to us. I mean, people taunt us now. I mean, even the Chinese are kind of mocking us because we got this guy named Biden running the show, and he doesn't have a clue where he's at most of the time. Verse 67, it says, in the morning you shall say, I wish that it was evening. And in the evening you'd say, I wish it were morning, because of the dread of your heart, which you dread, and for the sight of your eyes, which you shall see.
We are in the desert, so far from our home, by the rivers of our beginning, where we learned to brave, hands trained for battle, arms that bend the bow, my